Let's talk about the resiliency key of self-trust. Self-trust at its most foundational level is about knowing how you know. There are three core ways of knowing in the human design chart. There is logic, which is culturally and society, at least in the Western world, how we're taught to know. Can you prove it? Do you have evidence for what you know, right? And then there is knowing and sensing. Knowing just knows. It can't always explain how it knows, it just knows. And sensing has a feeling about what is true and right. You have a feeling about it. That's your way of knowing. Most people have a combination of these types of knowing. You might be more dominant in one or the other. But culturally, again, in the Western world, a lot of knowing is not validated unless it can be logically proven. And so sometimes we need to come back to our ability to trust our knowingness, even if we can't explain how we know or why we know it, right? And a lot of us are taught not to trust ourselves if we can't prove it, if we don't have very clear reasoning, if we haven't experimented and explored with it and have all the scientific backup for it, right? So number one, how do you know? And then number two, once you know how your intuition and your knowing works, do you trust it enough to follow that knowing? And a lot of us are conditioned away from turning inward to that internal sense of self-trust, that internal compass of knowingness, and then following those steps. And instead are taught to look outside of ourselves for answers, right? So let's do some tapping today around self-trust and returning to trusting your own internal compass instead of always looking outside yourself for the answer. Even though I don't know how to trust myself, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I was not taught to follow my knowing, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I've looked outside myself for answers, because I don't trust what I know, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Trusting myself. Following my intuition. Knowing the next right step. Trusting myself. Knowing how I know. Knowing that I'll know what I need to know when I need to know it. Surrendering to the unknown. Trusting myself. Take a nice deep breath. Take a sip of water. And now let's do a positive reframe around self-trust. Even though in the past, I looked outside myself for answers, I now know that I have all the answers I need inside of me. And I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though in the past, I didn't trust my knowing, I now choose to trust myself fully. And I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though in the past, I thought that the way I know things is wrong, I now see that there are a lot of ways to know things, and that the way that I know is perfect and right for me. And I deeply and completely love, honor, and trust myself. Trusting my knowing. Trusting my intuition. I have all I need inside me. My knowing is just right for me. Choosing to trust myself. Giving myself time to know. Giving myself time for clarity. Trusting my knowing when it comes.